everyone, today is going to be part 1 of my YupCollar's mobility harness review. I've got things written on my phone, so if I keep looking down, that's why. Okay, so where shall I start? Rory still isn't old enough to do full mobility, so that's why this is going to be a 2-part review. The first part is literally just going to be about the fitting and the quality of the harness itself, and then part 2 will come in maybe 6 months or a year once we've actually started to use the harness, because obviously I can't review that bit until I start using it. So for those who missed my first video, which I will link down below, I ordered a YupCollar harness. I had it made with a Y front. At the time that I brought this, they didn't have a standard listing for a Y front, they just had the straight fronts, but now they do have a Y front on their shop. I sent all of Rory's measurements to the company and they made the harness to fit him specifically. I was really nervous about taking the measurements because this is my first ever mobility harness. The only harnesses I've ever brought for dogs before have been just like off the shelf walking harnesses that you don't really need specific measurements for. But I did okay, thankfully. So the harness adjusts here, which goes across the shoulders. It adjusts on both sides, and you've also got a side adjustment here. I will do closer shots for you at the end of the video. And then you could either unbuckle here to take it on and off, or you've got a clasp here. So when I first got this harness, I put it on and I fitted it how I thought it should fit, but then I noticed that when I put pressure onto the pull strap while Rory was standing still, that this bit here would sit like this. So there was a big gap. I could fit my whole hand in between the dog and the harness, which obviously isn't what you want. So I tightened it and now it sits pretty much perfectly flat when you put pressure into it. Hopefully it'll stay the same once we do momentum pull, because obviously you don't really want bowing, I shouldn't imagine. So yeah, so it's a little bit tighter. It's still, like, you can still put 2 fingers between the dog and the harness, but it's just tighter than I'd have a normal harness. He can still sit and lie down and whatever you comfortably. I just must have my harnesses quite slack normally. The front 2 pieces, there's quite a lot of adjustment in these. I've got 7 holes, so that's really easy to sort out. Obviously you don't want that too tight, otherwise you're going to have issues pulling it over the dog's head. I do occasionally struggle with this clasp here. I don't know what it is, sometimes it just doesn't go all the way in, and I have to put a lot more pressure on. So if you've got some difficulties with your hands, you may occasionally find that quite difficult, but it is a hell of a lot easier than doing a standard belt buckle adjustment. Given that the harness is made to Rory's measurements, I do feel like this is quite a lot of excess, and there's not really anywhere to tuck it. You've got a stopper thing here, but unless I bend the leather, which I don't really want to do, it just sort of sticks up. And I feel a bit like, because it's been made to measure, there probably shouldn't be that much excess, because I've got 3 more holes after the one that I used for Rory, and then I've got a good like 3 inches of spare leather, which really doesn't need to be there. Maybe like an inch worth would have been enough to have. But again, I'll show you that at the end. because similarly, don't know how that word works. I mean, these straps are essentially the same thing, but there is only an inch after the hole, whereas this has got 2-3 times that instead. So the quality of the leather, to me, looks and feels fantastic. It's soft, it doesn't seem to mark too easily, although obviously it's not been through like quite heavy work yet, so that might change. And it's not too stiff and it's not too soft either, which is fantastic. Some of the edges are a little bit rough in places. Not rough as in like they feel rough, but rough as in they're not like polished and what have you. And I think the edges have been dyed looking at it. But what makes it look quite unfinished in some places is the sheepskin that is attached here. Like, you can see the edge of the sheepskin because that's not been dyed, and in some places it's quite, the stitching is further back, so you've got a little bit that pulls like that. That isn't something you're going to notice unless you like looking at it. When it's on the dog, you do not see that at all, but it is quite obvious in some places. Like, you can see the sheepskin there, and then here it's not quite as well finished as it could be, and it kind of, you can sort of peel it away a little bit from the leather. I'm assuming that it's only stitched on rather than glued on, but it is soft, it does the job. I can't see it particularly like getting damaged or anything like that, so it's not a big deal for me anyway. And then, like I said, the stitching pretty much everywhere apart from on the adjustable, apart from on the adjustable straps. In some places the stitching's a little bit iffy. For example, here you've got kind of a loose stitch. Here it's just a bit sticking up, and there's a random black thread there, and you can see some of the stitching there as well. But again, it's not the end of the world. I could probably just snip, obviously not the one that's slightly loose, but the ends that are sticking out, I could probably just snip them and get rid of them without there being an issue. The rivets that they've used are lovely, lovely, shiny. They've not tarnished, but again, we've not used it massively yet, so that may change if it gets wet or what have you. The one thing that I kind of didn't expect, but does make sense, is that the sheepskin that is on the belly strap does move. I assume that's because obviously it's an adjustable harness, so you need to be able to adjust it to your dog. But that does mean if you're not massively observant, at times it can start to overlap. So this is the back, well, probably the side, but that goes over to the back, and this is the belly strap, and it can overlap if you're not careful, or it gets in the way of the clasp, and when it's on the dog you're like, why can't I get it to go together? But it is literally, all you've got to do is just pull it and it moves. So it's not a big issue, it's just something to be aware of. If you can't get the clasp to shut properly, have a quick look at it, double check that that's in the right place. Okay, so the counterbalance handle itself is, you know, semi-rigid, as I said before, I think in my last video. It does the job. I think I could have got away with maybe like half an inch or an inch shorter. It is only 6 inches tall, so it is like within the recommendation, but I think I could have got away with a little bit less. But it's my first mobility harness. I'll remember that for the future. The pole strap is lovely. It is a little bit long for me though, I think. Obviously we've not used the harness properly. We've done a little bit of like standing and pulling with it. But I think my position relative to Rory when I'm using this harness, I'm a little bit too far back for my comfort. But the strap itself is lovely. I personally think that the edges of this strap are finished much nicer than the edges of the harness, and I don't know why that is. They're smoother, they don't look like, you can't really see the grain of the leather. They just look nicer in general. I'm pretty sure it's the same leather. It's got the same stitching and what have you. I just think it's been finished a bit nicer. It is adjustable. I had them make it adjustable for me because I didn't know what size pull strap I'd need. And again, does the job. It's a lovely pull strap. I would consider having them make me another one in a smaller size because it's lovely and soft on my hands. Because I made one out of paracord and that's really rough, so that's going to be a no-no for me. And again, for some reason that's only got like 1.5 inches worth of excess at the end, whereas the side strap has tons of excess on it. The clips are just your standard trigger clips, nothing fancy. I'll show you those up close at the end. But yeah, there's not really much else you can say about a pull strap, I don't think. The only thing that like I'm having an issue with is storage. Purely because I don't want the leather to warp. If I've got it like hung on a peg, but I don't want it to stretch or damage the counterbalance handle. So at the minute it's sat at the bottom of our stairs because we've got like a square post at the end. You alright, love? Where are you going? Alright, bye. So it sits a bit like this at the bottom of the stairs. So if anyone has a suggestion of where or how to store a leather harness, please let me know, because I have no idea what I'm doing with it. But I think that is everything that I can review on this harness. If you do have any questions, please let me know. Just pop them in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so here is the pull strap. Lovely coloured leather. You can see the stitching. The stitching seems nice and tight on this one. There doesn't seem to be any like loose ends like there was on the harness. You've got just a standard trigger clip, nothing exciting there. And then you've got your rivets. Ta-da! And then this is the edge of this one. You can see a little bit perhaps of the texture. Maybe if my camera focuses, there you go. But not quite as much when I show you the harness up close. You can't see quite as much of the grain. So this is the clip. Just got a stopper again here which moves, and a standard belt buckle there with 3 holes. They will make that to whatever size you want if you ask for one, which is nice of them. Okay, so this is the clasp. Focus, please. Maybe. There you go. It needs cleaning. So it is pretty simple to undo, like that. I find when I'm having a difficulty with it, it tends to stop about here. There's like a ridge. Yeah, there's sort of a little bit of a ridge there. and that's what it gets caught on from time to time. You just have to be sure to give it a proper push. And then this is where the belly strap can overlap occasionally. All you've got to do is just pull it slightly until it moves. So this is where the D-rings attach. There's one on each side. And then this is the adjustable part of the belly strap. As you can see, look, there is so much excess that really doesn't need to be there. And you can see the edging isn't finished quite as nicely as it is on the pull strap. But it's still not horrific, it's just not as smooth and finished. The holes themselves are, you know, decent, standard holes. Here you can see the difference between the leather and the sheepskin. And again, a bit of loose stitching here, which is a little bit annoying, but again, not the end of the world. More loose stitching there. These are the adjustable chest, shoulder strap bits. Just a standard buckle with a stopper here. Underneath you've just got it riveted in place. It's important to point out that the rivets on the inside are hidden by the sheepskin. You have to dig around for it, but it is there. But you have to kind of peel apart the sheepskin to be able to reach them. So for those of you with short-haired dogs, that shouldn't be an issue. They shouldn't rub. The sheepskin is a little bit messy in some places. Could do with a little bit of a trim, but it doesn't affect the quality or anything like that. So yeah, there you go. There is my YupCollar Y-front mobility harness. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. Bye!